Hello, and welcome to another episode of Min's Minute Modcast with his mates. And today we have some regulars, and then we have a new mate as well. So, greetings, Mo, Satya, and Owen, and welcome, Kate. We're going to need a bigger room soon, guys. The revolution is here. Okay, so today I thought we would focus on a particular topic that I know you're all super passionate about. We all love AI, but today we're going to talk about what's that intersection of AI and product in terms of what's it going to mean for people who develop products, developers, UX, UI, creatives, and what does that really mean in terms of not only the speed to develop, but also what's it going to mean for that industry going forward. So let's kick this off, Mo, with what have you been hearing out there on the streets regarding this topic?
It's been an interesting couple of weeks. I'm getting a few people reach out to me to talk about AI regarding product development, the technical side, design side, and I've just been having some conversations. And what's coming up, having talked with some of the execs, CTOs, and board members of some of the successful companies that are out there, I think there's a misconception that's been introduced here right now. The misconception is AI will get you X10 speed, delivery, quality, all these things are getting there. And the messaging, I think, is a little bit of a upsell to what the reality is right now. So one of the execs that I was talking with, they came to me and said, now one person from the board is looking to say, okay, do we need this many developers anymore? Can we cut them? I was just having a conversation with this individual and I was like, no, it's not fully there to that level that you would like. We are going to be starting to be reviewing AI work down the line way more for sure, but we're not fully there yet. Yeah, to say, okay, let's just cut 40% of our developers and say, okay, that's it. In some cases, yeah, if you're a small scale startup, you can start leaner, right? But when you're a big organization and you're deciding to cut budget or cut people's jobs and so on, I don't think it's there yet for the more complex and entangled environments for product development and ideas like that. It goes the same with UX UI design. It goes the same with all the other areas. But I would say maybe UX UI design and more of the creative side maybe becoming easier, I would say. But the development side, no. There was a guy on LinkedIn, need to remember his name, but he posted that he used AI to develop his product, and literally a few minutes or an hour after, he got attacked from a security vulnerability that was created with using AI to develop his product. So there's a lot of flaws from security perspective to functionality really working the way that a human would want to interact with. This stuff is not there yet, and you got to lead it a lot and play with it and adapt it to get there.
That's a lot of what I've been hearing. It's people have been saying treat it like an analyst, a junior developer, where it needs a lot of hand holding, but certainly it can do some of the sort of basics. But remember, this is as bad as it's ever going to get. It's only going to improve, but certainly, I don't think it's a total magic wand. Playing with tools like Replit and Lovable, etc. I think you're right. There is this thing now where people think, well, I can just type in a box and it'll create everything for me. I think the reality, particularly behind the scenes and how it does it scale and do you really know what it's coded, etc. That's the risk here. Kate, I'd love your opinion on what you're seeing and what your clients are asking you around developing products with AI.
So I'm using AI very much as a tool to essentially generate a bunch of ideas really quickly. So like people will come to me and they'll be like, what about this? What about that? And I would historically do terrible drawings and show people my terrible drawings. And now I'm sort of prompting an AI, I'm coming up with something that is not all the way there in terms of the design, but gives us a starting point to start to talk about. And so maybe there'll be a bunch of different ideas that look totally different. And then that's a really good starting point to have the conversation. So I'm not doing a lot of extensive building. It's more, here's a prototype, here's something that we can get going with straight away. So rather than me go away and spend a week playing in Figma and doing something, I'm producing something much more quickly that can start to get that dialogue going. And I think for me, that's what's really nice and really powerful. I'm not necessarily using it to replace any final output, but in terms of that, like backwards and forwarding, it's been so helpful.
Fantastic. Now, Owen, you obviously have a business where you're helping clients with do all of this. With these efficiency gains, are you finding clients are saying, "Well, now you have these tools. Here's 20 pence. Crack on, because it's not going to take you much work to do." How
Mm,
do you how do you have you had that sort of challenge, or what's your view?
Not yet. And it's funny, I've been kind of waiting for that, for clients to go, well, the market price for software dev is going down. Like, can you do it for less? So that hasn't happened yet. I think the way it'll probably happen is there'll just be less requests for proposals. The way, like, there's been a bit of a trend in our industry where clients have in-housed capability. So they'll hire creative people or hire UX people. And so as a result, in agency land, there's been less work in certain sectors. So I think that's probably how it'll play out. You'd be like, less requests for proposals. You'd be like, I wonder how they're doing it. And if you went digging, you might find that they're using tools more. But one sidebar I mentioned is like the funniest thing I saw on Twitter in the last few weeks was a non-technical guy who tried to build his own SaaS app. Well, he did. He successfully built the SaaS app. And he had this meltdown and like in real time on Twitter, which was very funny because he was like, hey, look at me, I built my new SaaS app, sign up. And then like a few hours later, he was like, I seem to be under some kind of cyber attack. And then it's like, dear God, like they're injecting things into my database and getting around my subscription. And like the internet basically turned on this guy to, in one sense, say, well, look, we know you're not a dev. Like, we're finding vulnerabilities, um, it was this kind of little signpost in I suppose internet culture to say Cursor, Replit, and these agents are just not there yet, and a lot like everyone has taken note of that. The final thing I will say is, yeah, you couldn't hire a software development agent to, work and deliver like production ready code for you now. But the rate of improvement is so good that it's just hard to predict what it'll be like in a year. So we're saying this now, but in a year's time, it could be super different, right? And it's hard for our brains to get around this idea of exponential growth or this rapid improvement, so it's worth mentioning that too, I suppose.
And Satya, you're super involved with the product community, with what you do with Mind the Product and others. What's your view on where you see this going, the pros and the cons?
So I see that it is getting into the product operations as such. So if there are many product teams in a company, then there's a separate team sometimes that is handling the operations part of the products. And what I see is the tools such as Intercom. These are some tools which are helping to automate most of the product processes. And however, where it is failing at most, like the AI part, is scaling aspect. As Kate said, right, you can do multiple experiments, but only to a certain extent. But once the quality parts come in the picture, this is where I see that it is kind of failing away. And also that the quality, then the scaling, and then also delivering the right product, it is still struggling. So I think the AI part, it still needs human intervention. We are still far away in terms of delivering the final product to the customers.